Hi, and welcome to this episode of Community Service. My name is Sharavon Lloyd, and my guest today, I'll let him introduce himself.
My name is Ed Bates. I'm the director of the PASS program, the Regional Office of Education, Lake County.
So today we're discussing the White House Young Americans Roundtable. What that is President Obama tasked his administration with attending 100 youth roundtables to discuss and find out what is important to young Americans in the United States. And so on May 14th from roughly 8:30 a.m. until 11 a.m., students from North Chicago will be holding their own roundtable to discuss the issues that are of extreme importance to them. Some of those issues are education, graduating and dropping out. Other issues include safety like cyberbullying and bullying. So what we wanted to do today is address some of those issues from the adult perspective. And in a few weeks you'll also see the students and their roundtable and the follow-up, and we'll be going back regularly to address how we are addressing these in the community. So I would like to first ask the question of what do you think is the biggest concern for North Chicago students?
Well, not only just North Chicago students, but in general, that's what we're going to focus on with the roundtable. And so, first of all, we're very excited to have been selected through the Community Service Program SAVE in North Chicago, more specifically where that program has been operating. Students Against Violence Everywhere would be the lead group. But from an adult perspective, we know that we are now in the 21st century in terms of the issues that young people face, and there are a lot of different challenges that are out there, and in terms of them being prepared to address some of those, we know that those changes have been made in terms of different forms of how it looks. You mentioned cyberbullying, and years ago, I don't know if we would have called it that. We would just refer to it more as bullying and fighting and things like that. But our world has changed, and I think that's part of what we're seeing. From an adult perspective, I think we are seeing an increase in the number of young people doing things that we'd never seen before. For example, when you mentioned cyberbullying and it being an issue that we see it more because of the work we do. Again, the Regional Office of Education PASS program work in not just North Chicago, but that is definitely one of our sites. But we see different young people and issues that sometimes might prevent them from going to school. One of our initial assessments of what we're trying to do when young people are not there. And it's not in all cases that we know and see things such as bullying, but there are times in many of our cases we do see, when we assess, there are young people that are just afraid sometimes, and they don't know in terms of how to handle certain types of things that they're now seeing today in an appropriate way. And so it goes a little bit unnoticed, if you will, because we make the statement, the cyberbullying, and which means that oftentimes we just don't see it. In the old days, and I don't want to date myself, but it was more visible, I think. I think you can see when there was roughness, or you can hear certain things that young people were saying to each other, and we do, and we still do, what we call teachable moments, and we would stop it immediately, redirect it, and really do within those teachable moments, give young people some skill sets of how to handle that in the future, with the idea of always get an adult and tell an adult. But today, because of what we're seeing, and a lot of these things are not visible, we don't always know when some of those things are going on. We still know when there's a fight, obviously, and that's not necessarily cyberbullying, but in respect to cyberbullying, that is one of the greater issues. We just don't get a chance to know exactly what young people are doing online without talking with them and making them aware that we know that these types of threats are out there.
Okay. For those who are in the audience and aren't really aware of what cyberbullying means, it has become a go-to statement in recent years. And what it is when students take their taunting or their teasing or their attacks to technological forums. So this happens in social networking on Facebook or MySpace. It happens with students in their text messages. It happens, through instant messages. So if you're not really technologically savvy, you might want to find a teenager and ask them, can you tell me a little bit more about Facebook or MySpace or texting? Because it is a very private kind of bullying because people have a one-on-one relationship with their cell phones or with their computers. And so a lot of times if you're not with the child, you don't know how severe the situation is. So one of the things that our North Chicago community chapter of SAVE has been working on is reaching out to kids in that one-on-one forum. So we have a YouTube channel now called the North Chicago Community SAVE YouTube channel, and we have a cyberbullying cartoon. If you'd like to see it, you can just go to YouTube and type in NCCC SAVE, and it'll pop up. But this way, children can, and young adults can look and learn how to deal with cyberbullying without feeling too self-conscious about it. Cyberbullying is an issue, but we still have the issue of regular bullying.
Yes.
We still have, you know, the kids that are getting pushed or feeling alone at the lunch table. So I'm wondering, do you believe is still an issue in North Chicago?
Well, yes, it's an issue in every community, and it's not just North Chicago when we really speak of that. And again, part of what we're going to be doing with the Young American Roundtable on Saturday, May 14th, is really discussing these issues more with youth. But from the adult perspective, we're actually interested in finding out what the children really think. And so this is one of the reasons why we were excited to be one of just 100 in the country being selected to do this. But what they're sharing are some things that they know themselves are happening, but they're also unaware sometimes of some of the things you shared in a technological manner and things like that. But bullying, fighting, gang involvement, yes, we still have those issues, and it comes through the things we need to be doing, and that's some of the things. Just ensuring that we are working with our young people more. I think that's going to come out. Ensuring that we're able to be more in tune with what's going on. We call that in schools, school climate, having a good idea of what is going on when changes are taking place. And then teaching these skills. That's one of the things that we're doing in schools, really putting together life skill training in the form of PBIS, positive behavior intervention systems, and working to prevent things from happening by giving young people those types of skill sets, decision making, what is appropriate and things like that.
So we've kind of discussed some safety issues, but I'd kind of like to take it back and find out who are the students that are going to be involved in this roundtable. I know you mentioned SAVE. I believe we also will have some Youth Build students, but do you have any other students, or where are they coming from?
Well, first of all, the location will be Marion Jones Community Center. It's located at 1401 Sherman Avenue, right here in North Chicago. The community center itself, Marion Jones, tremendous programming going on now through the Lake County Housing Authority, and over the years have been making tremendous strides with those young people who actually live in the Marion Jones complex. So we do have some students that are going to be selected from Marion Jones itself, so that we can get a real good picture and a feel for them and what their ideas are, what do they see on a daily basis. Students that dropped out of school, in particular, you'll hear more about a couple programs, Youth Build, one in Waukegan and one here in Lake County, but physically located in North Chicago. And that program, as you can tell, is one of the interventions is a program like this. This is a Youth Build production. But these were young people who, not necessarily because of academic failure, but sometimes these are young people who had to leave school early. So in terms of dropping out, that's the term. They actually dropped out. But these are young people who have found their way back to educational systems such as the Youth Build, and it helps them to get the GEDs or help them to pursue college courses and so forth. And we're going to hear a lot more about that next week when we actually sit down for the roundtable. But again, a combination of young people who have dropped out of school, the students in SAVE, for example, Students Against Violence Everywhere that you've already referenced. These young people, we have a chapter at the high school, and they are young people who have been involved with this program. Some just joined it this school year. But they've been student-led activities, so they will talk a lot about what they see and what they're doing, as evident by what you talked about with the cyberbullying piece. And again, the combination of students, in-school students that are currently in school, the high school is one site, but the middle school as well. And so having their perspective, because they're in transition, going to high school next year, preparing them and making sure that they are going to be aware of what to expect as a freshman and how they can avoid certain types of things. So that's the combination of students we'll have at the roundtable.
And I was looking a little bit at your agenda, and I see that you're planning to incorporate adults who come into the program and having them play a role in helping these students so that they do stay on the right track. Can you give me a little bit more of an idea of what kind of adults you're looking for to attend this?
Yes, we want the community. We believe that, for the most part, everyone, that teaching and education take place everywhere, anytime and all the time. It's no longer just our classroom walls. We have adults on Saturday morning. We mentioned the Marion Jones Community Center, and there's a mentoring program over there on Saturdays between a couple of fraternal groups and sororities, Omega Psi Phi fraternity and Delta Sigma Theta. Collaborate to come over on Saturday mornings and work with a group of young people who reside right there at Marion Jones. You know, if you are ever in the area, second Saturday of the month, I know they're going to be wrapping up services for the school year and then getting ready for the summer. But I think the last meeting is before they transition is Saturday, May 21st, so in the next couple of weeks. But these groups, again, when you walk into that room, unlike what people may think, you're going to see an atmosphere of just a lot of activity. There's formal mentoring where someone is over at a table and getting an update of what that student was doing all week, how's their classes, what's going on. You'll see some informal mentoring going on. There's young people who bring there's fraternity, sorority members who bring their own children, and they're walking around engaging in activities. So there's all kinds of formal, informal mentoring going on. They have breakfast in the morning. They come in, and the guys and the young ladies are, making breakfast for the kids, and they eat breakfast together. So it's just activities that are going on that oftentimes go unnoticed and things like that. So we want all of those kinds of groups. Anyone out there in the community that work with children in any kind of way or have in their part of their particular mission to work with young people, we believe that they too know that we all need to work together to ensure that our young people today have the type of skill sets necessary for the 21st century. So anyone, faith-based community, we want our civic leaders to come in. We want, and we're partnering with various groups. NAACP, for example, is a new group that's adding some additional outreach to these types of activities that we're talking about. We've always, in the past, worked with certain things, but we are heightening it up based upon what we know is going on in our communities. Okay. We want the adults, though, to really, for the first hour, to observe and listen to what our young people are saying. And then the following half hour, we'll break into groups and actually have them sit with our young people and process, and then report out as a group. So everyone in the community we are inviting to come out.
Okay.